This is, and the wine that we're drinking today, is a Dr. Lozen Riesling Auslese, which refers to how ripe the grapes are when they were picked. And so this means they were picked quite ripe with some botrytis influence. We can talk about botrytis another time. And it's from 1999, stellar vintage in the Mosel. Hence the colour, quite deep and golden, indicative of the quality, the botrytis influence, and the age, really honeyed. Beautiful clarity, it's crystal clear. Not only do we have the tasting sensations in our mouth, but it's also, you want to assess the quality. How good is that wine? And there's a lot of descriptives that are related to quality. Now, of course, wine is very subjective. Some people love this, some people hate this. By giving all these categories of descriptors, it helps us to put an objective view on quality. You can say, this is a great wine, incredibly concentrated, blah, 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 but I don't actually like it, which is perfectly fine. So when we're talking about assessing qualities, the factors are, first of all, there's typically a colour. You look at the colour, you look at the clarity to see, like this wine I've got here in my glass is quite a deep golden straw colour with a slight lemon lime hue. The hue is actually where the wine touches the glass in that semicircle here, and it always pales, so it's good to look at it on a white background, and it helps to tell you how old a wine is. It's light when it's really pale, it's a young wine, and you can do it with red as well. And then as it develops, you get more colour all the way out to the edge of the glass. Aroma. Aroma is very important. Sometimes the most amazing wines, you could just go on smelling them all night long. You don't actually need to put them in your mouth because you keep getting different nuances as the wine opens up. It's got a beautiful, it's almost like being in a chalk cave of champagne where that earthiness and moisture is dripping through the dust and the chalk. Beautiful aromas, and smells like fresh Manuka honey, slightly earthy, ripe, really ripe melons with a lovely lime citrus overtone as well. Heaven. But aroma is really important, and it can be anything that you've ever smelt or tasted before. You don't have to limit yourself to fruit or vegetables. It's the aromas in the forest, it's the aromas and the flavours that you've ever smelt in your life before. There's little recognitions that come set off your brain and you go, that really reminds me of that. Suboir is forest floor. So it's like when you're walking through the forest and it's just rained and then it's a warm sunny day and that aroma that lifts of that rotting dead leaves, and it's the most beautiful sensation and smell. And so all of those, anything you've ever smelt in your life, and sometimes things just trigger that memory, that smell memory in your mind. And there's lots of horrible aromas that it reminds you of as well, but that's all part of wine. It's that je ne sais quoi. There's no restriction just to fruit or vegetables. It's all the complexities of life. Sometimes something dirty, little complex, and that's all part of wine as well. So aromas, the intensity of the aroma is really important. Then when you put the wine in your mouth, it's the flavours. The flavours in your mouth, it's very honeyed. Manuka honey for sure, very New Zealandish. But then with the citrus lemon, it's apricots, slight apricots, nectarines, stone fruit, with incredibly salivating acidity. And it leaves your mouth, that acid just cuts right here, so that when you swallow, it's intense, but your whole mouth feels tickled all over. Incredible sensation. There's also the length of the palate. So when you put a wine in your mouth, it wants to start at the front and go all the way to the back and be balanced. It's all about touching all of your taste buds all at the same time. Some wines just cut really short and they're disappointing. The rest of your tongue is longing for something. So you have the colour, you have aroma, you have flavours, you have length of the palate. It's about body concentration and intensity. So body is that it's mouth filling, the sensation that all of your mouth has been coated with this wine and has a density about it. It's not thin and lean. When you put a wine in there, you want it to be overwhelming your senses all over your mouth. Grapes that are overcropped tend to be thin and light and watery, whereas grapes that are cropped lower have this richness, this concentration, this intensity in your mouth. Texture and mouthfeel are very important. There's that sensation. Not only is it mouth-filling, but it gives you this sensation through your mouth that speaks often of where it comes from. Some wines are slightly soapy, slightly even slimy, but there's just this array of textures that you learn about with all the different varieties and the places that they come from in the world. Overall, one word that is really important in describing wine objectively, quality point of view, is balance. Balance is so important. You want all of these things to be in harmony. You want not one thing to be standing out over the other. Balance is extremely important in objective assessment of quality. And then you have to view the wine as an overall package. It's okay to break it down into these components to assess quality, but then you say, as a wine, does this have typicity of variety? Does this speak to me as a Riesling? Does this have a sense of place, a sense of origin? Does it tell me that it is actually from Germany and that it's from the Mosel? And that is it from the vintage as well? And all of these help to add to the overall quality of the wine and the way you would rate it. Does it taste like the variety that's supposed to be? Does this taste like a Riesling? Yes, it does. It's got the crisp acidity of Riesling. It's got incredible apple, melon, stone fruit flavours. It's got honey, slight apricot, botrytis, all indicative of Riesling. And giving that long length, the balance, the package really is pretty amazing. It does speak of a sense of place, the sense of origin. There's very few places in the world that produce Riesling of this high quality. And we know that with the residual sugar, the botrytis, the intensity that it's come from, and the intense apple flavours come from one main region in Germany, and it's the Mosel. Why the Mosel? Because they also produce elegant Rieslings. They have finesse, class, balance, harmony. It's a stellar wine. Wine. It is daunting. As I said, no one knows it all, but it's so exciting. And you can just go on trying. You never have to have the same wine, but then you can if you love it. It's all about enjoyment, learning to taste and just talking about it. In terms of point system, you can have 20 point systems, marking out of 20 and out of 100. Typically I work with 20, but of course Robert Parker set up the 100 point system. But I think that might be for another day to go into those sorts of details. Go forth, try wine, you'll love it. I do.